Hi, this is a little video clip that explains how I evolved a concept map for the Supreme Court's decision in Marbury versus Madison in 1803, in which the court asserted a somewhat revolutionary proposition, at least at the time, claiming the power to declare acts of Congress unconstitutional. The concept map tool is used to illustrate the various parts of the court's rationale in reaching that decision. And this clip shows some of the steps, not all, but a few of the steps I went through, the progression of steps, if you will, that led me to create a more or less final product, at least for purposes of our class. The first, my first attempt in using CMAP was to simply state the bare bones of the court's rationale in the case. And it consists really of three related propositions, two of them closely related. One is that judges interpret law, that's their job, and the other is that the Constitution is law. That was somewhat novel, and a proposition that would bear some scrutiny. And the third proposition is that since the Constitution is law and judges interpret it, then judges interpret the Constitution. That, in a nutshell, is what the court claimed. But this map doesn't really explain all of the complexities of the court's argument. It just states the bare bones and doesn't really get you into the broader context. The next slide will show you how I tried to map some other elements or other propositions that the court used in constructing a persuasive argument. Here are the two that appeared on the previous slide. By this point, though, I was trying to bring in some of the other elements that are part of the court's process that lets it reach out and interpret the Constitution. One element here is in the Constitution itself, and it's the claim that the Constitution is supreme law, not just law, but supreme law. That's an important part of the court's argument. Here is the core of the judicial process. Judges decide conflicts or cases. They just don't reach out and grab the Constitution and say, well, this is what it means. There has to be a case in front of them. And here is an extension of that. The judges apply law to decide cases or conflicts. So now we begin to have other propositions on the table that can be then built into, if you will, a web of other of a larger rationale that underlies the decision. And here we have the final map, if you will, for this exercise, where I think I bring into play most of the key propositions and elements of the case that explain it. And you'll see some of the propositions that were stated in earlier slides, but in this one, it's a network, which really brings out the subtleties of the argument and show how it really all hangs together. And it's not the typical way I have explained this case, so the many times I've taught it, which is more of a linear analysis. This is much more of a network style analysis, and it allows you to drill in and look at certain of these propositions that are in here and examine them critically. But it shows you the whole picture as well at a glance. And you'll notice that CMAP lets you bring in some media into the maps. This is a picture of the current Supreme Court, not the one that decided Marbury versus Madison. You can add annotations. This is an annotation down here. When you export a map to an external medium, the annotation collapses, so it doesn't display. But I left it in there just so you could see that that's another feature. So in a nutshell, this is how I use the tool to develop a concept map for the case of Marbury versus Madison. It was an interesting exercise, and I hope that this helps you understand a little bit more about how this tool might be used. Thank you very much.